The chamber of the Galactic Council floated high above the twin stars of Virella. Inside, hundreds of alien delegates filled the curved seats of polished crystal, each species glowing or breathing in its own strange rhythm. The air shimmered with translation fields and faint blue holograms of data. At the center, on a raised platform, stood the supreme speaker of the council, his long limbs folded behind him. His voice carried like thunder across the hall. "By unanimous vote," he declared, "the species known as Humanity of Sol 3 shall be placed under council supervision. They will serve as subjects of the Galactic Order." The words rippled through the chamber like a shockwave. Some aliens clapped their claws together. Others hissed in amusement. A few stayed silent, remembering what humans had done in the Mars conflict decades ago. How a race barely out of its own atmosphere had destroyed 2 fleets using weapons no one had ever seen. The speaker continued proudly. "Their technology, though crude, has grown unstable. Their aggression must be contained before it spreads. They will be guided, controlled, civilized." Laughter echoed through the hall. One reptilian delegate leaned to another and whispered, "Primitive apes playing with starfire. They should be grateful," but not all agreed. The Terran ambassador, a tall, gray-skinned being with narrow eyes, spoke softly. "You are declaring domination over a species that has never bowed to anyone. You may not like what follows." The speaker smiled, showing translucent teeth. "The council does not fear savages." He raised a hand. "The decree is sealed." Far away on Earth, the message arrived hours later. Inside the United Earth Assembly Hall in Geneva, every monitor flickered with the council's transmission. The chamber was silent. Leaders, soldiers, scientists, all frozen as the alien speaker's voice played in perfect translation. "Humanity is hereby declared a subject species under the protection and command of the Galactic Council." When the message ended, the room stayed quiet for a full minute. The hum of machines and distant traffic were the only sounds. Finally, President Elena Reeves leaned forward. Her voice was calm but cold. "They think we'll serve?" No one answered. She turned to her defense chief. "How long before they expect a reply?" 24 hours, Madam President." Reeves nodded slowly. "Good, then we won't give one." Across the solar system, humans listened in disbelief. News networks showed alien faces calling Earth property. People marched in the streets, some frightened, others furious. On Mars, engineers in domes stopped their work and sent one silent message to Earth, awaiting orders. The Luna Relay Station, Earth's largest orbital hub, went dark within minutes. Every satellite reprogrammed itself into standby mode. From the outer stations, all human traffic suddenly ceased. The galaxy waited for humanity's surrender, but none came. Days passed. The Council grew impatient. Patrol fleets orbited near the edge of Sol system, scanning for activity. They saw nothing. No radio signals. No beacons. Only silence. Back in the council hall, tension began to rise. Admiral Korth of the Vascan fleet slammed a clawed hand on the table. "They ignore us." "Shall we send a demonstration force?" The speaker frowned. "Do so. Show them their place." A small expedition of 3 cruisers was dispatched toward Earth. They expected easy submission, a primitive planet bowing to superior power. But on their approach, their sensors failed. Navigation flickered. Then, in the darkness beyond Mars, their ships disappeared, vanished from every scanner. The last transmission received was a single broken line. Light approaching. Too fast to track. And then nothing. Hours later, inside the council chamber, alarms blared. A human signal had appeared on every galactic frequency. Simple, clear, and terrifyingly calm. "Servants? No, humanity serves no one." Silence filled the chamber. Even the air seemed to freeze. The Terran ambassador slowly turned toward the speaker. "You see? They did not bow." The speaker's throat clicked nervously. "Find them. Find their ships. Find their leaders." The ambassador shook his head. "You can't find humans when they don't want to be found." From the far edge of the galaxy, hidden in the void between stars, the first human fleet waited in darkness, silent, cold, and ready. The Council had declared humanity their servants. But humanity had already chosen another word: retribution. The Galactic Council expected a reply within hours. None came. Days turned into weeks. The humans said nothing. No transmission, no protest, not even a whisper through the communication grids that connected thousands of worlds. The silence was unnatural. And in the galaxy, silence was often a warning. At the Council's observation hub on Epsilon Prime, alien analysts gathered around glowing maps of the solar system. Every data stream from Earth had gone dark. Even civilian broadcasts, which had once poured endless human noise, music, news, laughter, were gone. "Are they surrendering?" asked one of the insectoid observers, tilting his chitin-covered head. Another replied softly, "No. Humans don't go silent to surrender. They go silent to prepare." The Supreme Speaker grew restless. He summoned the Council again. The chamber buzzed with nervous energy as he addressed them. "The humans insult us with their silence. Their systems are off. Their colonies are unresponsive. This is defiance. We will not tolerate it." The Vascan admiral, his scales shimmering in the dim light, hissed, "We sent 3 cruisers to remind them." Unreturned. Murmurs filled the hall. The disappearance of those ships was still unexplained. Wreckage had not been found. Sensors picked up nothing. It was as if they had been erased. The Terran ambassador, always calm, leaned forward. "Perhaps they have technology you don't understand. You call them primitive, yet they build faster than anyone. Do not forget it was their first contact war that destroyed a fleet of 22 vessels, with ships made from scrap metal." The speaker ignored the warning. "Dispatch another fleet. Double in number. Approach carefully. I want surveillance on every human station, every moon." The Council obeyed. Within days, a new armada approached the solar system, but again they found only quiet. At Luna Relay Station, a ghostly silence ruled. The massive structure orbited the moon, its windows black, its engines cold. When alien scouts scanned it, the station appeared abandoned. Yet deep inside its core, human life pulsed in secret. Beneath the surface, Commander Ria Voss stood before a glowing tactical screen. Her voice was steady. "They're probing our silence. Let them. The longer they wait, the more nervous they become." Around her, officers worked in dim blue light. A single phrase glowed on every monitor. "Project Helios, Stage 2 activated." Voss looked toward the holographic image of Earth, a darkened globe. "They think silence means fear," she whispered. "It means calculation." The alien fleets continued to scan and search. One ship tried to send a probe into Earth's atmosphere. The probe vanished mid-descent, never transmitting back. Another ship reported seeing flashes on the dark side of the moon, as if someone was building something massive there. Rumors began to spread through the galaxy. Traders whispered that human miners had vanished from the asteroid belt, that Mars colonies had sealed their domes, that the humans were gathering something powerful. The Council tried to silence the talk, but fear spreads faster than orders. Back on Earth, the world was united for the first time in history. Factories that once built civilian craft now forged silent warships. Every scientist, engineer, and pilot worked under the same flag, the flag of the Terran Accord. President Reeves walked through the underground hangar beneath the Andes. Giant black vessels stood half-complete, covered in armor that shimmered like liquid night. The sound of machinery filled the tunnels. "How long until the first ship is ready?" she asked. 2 weeks, replied the chief engineer. "But once it flies, they'll never see it coming." Reeves looked up at the unfinished hull towering above her. "Good," she said quietly. "Let them keep waiting." Meanwhile, alien news networks mocked humanity. "Humans hide in their gravity well," said one broadcast. "They fear their new masters." But hidden deep in the static of those same transmissions, an encrypted human code began to spread, invisible to alien eyes. It carried a single message across the stars: "We are awake." On the 40th day after the declaration, the Council's long-range sensors finally detected movement. Something massive had left the solar system. Not a fleet, not a signal, just a shadow, a distortion impossible to identify. The report reached the speaker within hours. He stared at the data, his hands trembling. "What is it?" he demanded. The analyst answered softly, We don't know. It doesn't match any known propulsion. It's like space itself moved." The speaker turned pale. "Find it, before it finds us." But by the time he said it, the shadow was already gone, swallowed by the stars, heading somewhere unknown. And for the first time in centuries, the Galactic Council, rulers of 1,000 worlds, began to feel what humans had felt long ago: fear. The 72nd day after the Council's declaration began like any other on the capital world of Velora Prime. Twin suns rose over the marble spires of the Galactic Council's seat of power. Diplomats gathered, confident that humanity's silence meant surrender. Trade ships resumed movement, and the media called the humans a forgotten curiosity. But deep within the Council's military sector, something changed. At precisely 0942 Council Standard Time, every long-range sensor across the outer colonies went dark. The blackout lasted only 8 seconds, but in those 8 seconds, 3 Council fleets vanished. No distress calls, no wreckage, just emptiness. The nearest surviving outpost at Jovian Reach, orbiting Jupiter's magnetic field, reported seeing a burst of light, brighter than a small sun, before their systems crashed. When they recovered, the patrol fleet that had guarded the sector was gone. Inside the Grand Council chamber, panic replaced arrogance. Admiral Korth slammed his claws on the table. "It's sabotage. No weapon can erase entire fleets that size." The Supreme Speaker's voice wavered. Then explained the recordings. The chamber darkened as a hollow image played. It showed the final seconds of one patrol cruiser. Space looked calm, then a shimmer appeared like a ripple in glass. From that ripple, a shape emerged. Sleek, black, and almost invisible except for faint blue lights tracing its edges. Then everything dissolved into static. The technician lowered his head. "That was the Helion-class cruiser, sir." "No signal since," Korth's voice dropped. "The shimmer. It's not plasma, not a field weapon. It's..." The Terran ambassador finished for him. "A cloak. Humans have learned to bend light." A silence fell heavy in the room. The Council had used cloaking tech for reconnaissance, but never for ships that size. That kind of power required massive energy sources, beyond their understanding. The speaker tried to regain his tone of authority. "They can't have built that much so quickly." The Terran ambassador looked straight at him. "They didn't build it quickly. They built it quietly." Far away, near Saturn's rings, a small human scout ship drifted unseen. Its hull shimmered like liquid metal, absorbing light and radar. Inside, Lieutenant Mara Keen adjusted her console, whispering into her comlink. "Command, this is Ghost 9, target destroyed. No Council activity in sector." The voice that replied was calm, almost mechanical. "Acknowledged. Proceed to next waypoint. Maintain silence." Mara leaned back, watching the massive planet spin below her. Her hands trembled slightly. She had just witnessed the impossible. A single human vessel disabling 3 alien cruisers in less than 2 minutes. The ship's AI, Helios Core, spoke quietly. "Emotional distress detected, Lieutenant." Mara exhaled. "You'd be distressed too if you saw gods bleed." Back on Earth, the underground command network known as the Terran Accord Directorate monitored every action from hidden deep space stations. President Reeves stood beside Commander Voss in the control chamber beneath the Andes Mountains. "Phase 1 is complete," Voss said. "They've noticed us," Reeves nodded. "Good. Let them think it's random. Fear will do the rest." The massive screen before them showed thousands of alien signals, communication traffic surging with confusion. "They're calling us terrorists, traitors to the order," said Voss. Reeves smiled faintly. "Let them call us what they want. History will call us free." On Valora Prime, the panic deepened. Reports spread that human infiltration drones had entered the Council network itself, disguised as maintenance programs. Entire sectors of communication were shutting down. Alien reporters whispered of ghost signals appearing in their systems, short human messages that read, "We remember, we are not subjects. We teach through consequence." The Council's citizens began to protest, fearing retaliation. Some demanded their governments withdraw from the anti-human alliance. For the first time in millennia, cracks appeared in the galactic order. The Supreme Speaker addressed the galaxy through a broadcast. "Humanity is a danger to peace. They strike in shadows. They must be subdued." But the galaxy was no longer listening. They had seen the recordings, human ships appearing like phantoms, striking without noise or warning, then vanishing into the dark. At Outpost Traylan, a Council general ordered a full fleet scan for cloaked human ships. The technicians laughed at the idea. It was impossible, they said. Humans lacked that level of stealth. 10 minutes later, the outpost's sensors detected something. A faint temperature fluctuation just beyond the defense perimeter. They thought it was a comet fragment. It wasn't. The human ship HNS Nightward decloaked for only 3 seconds, long enough to transmit one message into every open frequency in the sector. You declared us servants. Consider this our resignation. Then it fired a pulse that neutralized every ship's reactor without killing anyone. Lights went out. Systems froze. When they came back on, the human vessel was gone. By the next sunrise on Velora Prime, over half of the Council's border defense systems were offline. Entire fleets refused to engage, afraid of ghosts they couldn't see. In a private chamber, the Terran ambassador confronted the speaker. "You've brought this on yourself," he said. "You could have coexisted. Instead, you claimed dominion." The speaker shouted, "They are humans. They were beneath us." The ambassador stared at him coldly. "Then look above you now." Moments later, the building shook. Not from weapons, but from a transmission so powerful it overrode every communication line in the galaxy. A human face appeared across every screen, calm and steady, surrounded by a faint blue glow. "We did not seek war, but you declared one when you called us servants. You've mistaken kindness for weakness, patience for submission." The voice paused. "Humanity kneels to no throne." Then the signal ended. In the silence that followed, the galaxy realized something terrifying. This was not revenge. This was a message. The Council's greatest fleets were paralyzed. Their technology was failing. And no one knew where humanity truly was because they were everywhere. That night, in a hidden orbital station above Earth, Commander Voss looked out at the stars. "They'll never understand, will they?" she said softly. Reeves stood beside her, watching the dark horizon. "No," she said, "but they will remember." Outside, a formation of black ships drifted past the moon, their engines silent, their hulls invisible against space. Humanity's shadow fleet was awake, and the galaxy's age of comfort had just ended. The galaxy had always believed itself safe under the rule of the Galactic Council. Their fleets were mighty, their technology unmatched, their laws absolute. But now that illusion began to break. Whispers moved faster than light, carried by traders, smugglers, and terrified civilians. Whole systems went silent overnight. Military beacons no longer answered. Rumors said the human ghosts were behind it. At first, most didn't believe it. How could one small planet challenge the combined might of 10,000 worlds? But then came the footage. A merchant convoy leaving the Vardis cluster had recorded a brief transmission before disappearing. The image showed a massive black vessel gliding through the stars, silent, angular, without visible engines. It didn't fire weapons. It didn't even change speed. Yet as it passed, every alien ship nearby lost power, drifting helplessly into the void. And on the side of that dark vessel, words glowed faintly in white. "We serve no one." In the council chamber, the Supreme Speaker slammed his staff against the floor. "This is propaganda. They cannot possess such power." But even his advisors looked uncertain. Reports flooded in. Colonies losing communication, trade hubs shutting down, data networks collapsing. Every system the Council relied upon was failing. Not destroyed, but disabled. The Terran ambassador stood silently, arms folded. "They are not destroying us," he said. "They are teaching us." The speaker turned on him angrily.
"Teaching us?"
"With terror? Perhaps you should have listened before you declared them servants." Across the galaxy, fear began to take physical form. On Dracia Fur, entire streets were empty by nightfall. On Zent Prime, alien soldiers deserted their posts, whispering of human ships that could appear inside planets' orbits without warning. Even the Council's homeworld began to panic, markets crashing, citizens demanding answers. Alien media spoke with trembling voices. Human retaliation continues. No Council fleet has yet made contact with Earth. In the outer systems, small governments began withdrawing from the Council alliance, declaring neutrality. Some even sent encrypted messages toward Sol, pleading for peace, offering resources in exchange for safety. Humanity did not reply. Meanwhile, deep beneath the ice crust of Europa, the human base known as Echo Station came alive. Inside the frozen caverns, engineers and AI cores coordinated the silent expansion of the Helios network, a field of invisible satellites stretching across nearby space. Commander Voss stood before a wall of glowing data streams. "They're afraid," she said quietly. "Fear moves faster than any weapon." Her second-in-command nodded. "Fear makes them predictable." "Exactly," she said. "And predictable enemies destroy themselves." On Velora Prime, the Supreme Speaker gathered a secret war council. "We cannot allow this to continue," he declared. We will form a task force of purity. Every fleet, every world loyal to us must unite. Humanity will be erased from the stars. But even as he spoke, the Council's communication screens flickered. One by one, the holograms of the attending members vanished. Signal lost. An aide rushed in, pale and shaking. "Sir, the secure channel has been breached." The speaker froze. "By whom?" The aide's voice cracked. "By Earth." All across the galaxy, the same message appeared on military screens, news networks, even personal devices. It was simple, spoken in calm human English. Peace was always an option. You chose chains, then static. Some called it arrogance. Others called it justice. But one truth spread quickly across every species. The humans were everywhere, and no one could stop them. In the dark of her command room, President Reeves watched the chaos unfold on her monitors. Around her, officers reported the same updates. Alien fleets retreating, council systems failing, worlds rebelling. "Do we strike now?" one asked. Reeves shook her head. "No, not yet. Then what do we do?" "We let them fear us a little longer," she said softly. "The council built an empire on fear. Let them taste their own." Outside, above the blue curve of Earth, human warships drifted in silence. They did not fire. They did not announce themselves. They simply watched the stars, waiting. And somewhere deep within the void, alien worlds trembled, whispering a single truth. The humans had not gone to war. The humans had gone to work. For the first time in living memory, the Galactic Council stood on the edge of panic. Entire sectors had gone silent. Fleets refused orders, and rumors of ghost ships filled every broadcast. The galaxy, once proud and united, was breaking apart under the weight of fear. In the heart of the Council's capital world, Valora Prime, the sky shimmered a strange violet color. Citizens gathered in the plazas, staring upward as lightning arced across a cloudless sky. The planet's defense systems activated automatically. Something was entering orbit. At first, the scanners detected nothing. Then the readings spiked. Gravity distortions, energy waves, and signals no one had seen before. "An invasion?" gasped a technician. The Supreme Speaker leaned forward, trembling. "No, it's something else." Above the Capitol, space folded like rippling water, and a single shape appeared. A massive ship, dark as the void, moving with silent grace. It was larger than any known vessel, its hull absorbing light instead of reflecting it. The entire council froze. For the first time, the humans had arrived. The flagship, HNS Resolute, hovered motionless, its design unlike any alien craft, clean, sharp, and terrifyingly simple. It bore no banners, no colors, only a white insignia glowing faintly. A circle with 3 stars, the mark of the Terran Accord. All over Valora Prime, alarms blared. Defense cannons locked on target. Fleets scrambled from hangars and planetary shields glowed. But before they could fire, every weapon system shut down. Lights flickered, power grids died, communication towers fell silent. Then above the planet, a single holographic transmission appeared in the sky, visible from every city, every ship, every home. It was a human face, calm, unarmed, expressionless. "To the Galactic Council," the voice said, smooth and clear. "You declared humanity your servants. We accepted your declaration, only to show you what that truly means." The speaker shouted from his throne. "Who are you to speak before the Council of Stars?" The hologram turned its gaze toward him, as if seeing straight through walls and distance. "I am no ruler," the human replied. "I am one of many. We are not your enemies nor your slaves, but you have mistaken patience for weakness." Behind the hologram, the ship's hull began to glow faintly as invisible energy spread through the atmosphere. High above the planet, alien pilots screamed into their comms as their controls froze mid-flight. Massive cruisers drifted, powerless like toys in a black sea. Even drones, satellites, and automated weapons all shut down without a trace of violence. It wasn't destruction. It was control. From the shadows of deep space, other human ships appeared, black, silent, surrounding the planet in a ring. Not a single shot was fired. No explosions, no battle, just silence and surrender. On the surface, terrified citizens looked up as the hologram continued. "We warned you through silence. We offered peace through restraint. But you responded with arrogance and war. You thought we would kneel. Instead, we learned to stand." The speaker fell back in his chair, shaking his head. "What do you want from us?" "We want you to understand," the human said. "To rule is easy. To deserve loyalty is harder." Then, with a single gesture, the holographic human raised his hand. Across the planet, every disabled system came back online. Lights flickered on, ships regained power, and comms reopened. But the humans didn't attack. They didn't demand surrender. They simply waited. In orbit, aboard the HNS Resolute, Commander Voss watched the transmission end. Her officers stood behind her in quiet awe. "Are we proceeding to stage 3? One asked. Voss shook her head. "No, the lesson is enough for now." "Do you think they'll understand it?" She looked out at the bright world below. "Maybe not today, but they'll remember how it felt, to be powerless without being harmed." She turned to the comm officer. "Transmit our final message." The officer nodded and began typing. Moments later, every receiver in the galaxy lit up with the words, "We are not here to rule you. We are here to remind you." On Valora Prime, as the hologram faded, millions stood speechless. No war, no blood. Only the echo of a power they could not comprehend. One that had come not to destroy, but to humble. And somewhere in the quiet of the council hall, the Terran ambassador whispered to himself, "They could have ended us, but they didn't." He looked toward the stars and added softly, "Perhaps that is what makes them truly human." The council's capital world lay in silence. The mighty fleets that once guarded the stars now drifted like empty shells. Across the galaxy, alien broadcasts played the same message again and again. The human transmission that ended with the words, "We are here to remind you." No one dared to reply. Inside the grand hall, the Supreme Speaker sat alone, his once bright robes now dulled by exhaustion. Around him, broken hologram projectors flickered weakly. Delegates had fled. Ministers had vanished. For the first time in centuries, the Galactic Council had no control, no voice, no power. A faint hum echoed through the chamber as a blue light appeared before him. It formed into the shape of a human hologram, tall, calm, and unarmed. The speaker fell to his knees instinctively. "Please," he whispered, "tell your leaders we surrender." The hologram's voice was steady. "Humanity did not come for conquest. We came for understanding. You called us servants, so today we serve and by teaching you." The speaker's voice trembled. "Teaching us what?" "That control is not peace. That power without empathy destroys itself." The hologram stepped closer, its image glowing softly. "When you declared us slaves, you reminded us what freedom means. When you tried to silence us, you reminded us how to speak. You have given us the greatest gift, unity." The speaker lowered his head. "Then what will you do with us?" "Nothing," the human said simply. "You will do it yourselves. You will rebuild your worlds without domination. You will lead without fear." The hologram turned slightly as if looking beyond the chamber. "The galaxy has always believed humanity was dangerous. You were right. We are dangerous, but not because we destroy, because we remember." High above the planet, the Terran fleet began to withdraw. Ships that had appeared from the shadows now folded back into the stars, their black hulls fading until space was clear again. Not a single city was burned. Not a single life was taken. On the bridge of the HNS Resolute, Commander Rhea Voss watched the fading blue sphere below. Her crew waited for her orders. "It's done," she said softly. "They understand now." Her first officer hesitated. "Do they?" Voss smiled faintly. "They will. Fear fades. Lessons stay." Across the galaxy, things began to change. On Dracia 4, alien citizens took down statues of the Council. On Zent Prime, once enslaved species began forming their own alliances, calling themselves the Free Sectors. Even the Council's soldiers removed their insignias, unwilling to fight for arrogance any longer. And through every signal channel, one message from Earth replayed quietly again and again. True strength is not in ruling others. It is in mastering yourself. Weeks later on Earth, President Reeves stood on the balcony of the United Earth Assembly. Below her, millions gathered beneath the same flag. For the first time, humanity had no enemies, no wars, and only silence and purpose. Commander Voss stood beside her. "They won't forget this," she said. Reeves nodded. "Good, neither will we. We've proven our point. Now we must prove our wisdom." She turned to face the stars. "The galaxy wanted servants. We showed them teachers. Let's not become what we defeated." In the far reaches of space, a small Terran child looked up at the night sky. His father told him the story of the humans, the ones who refused to kneel, who brought peace without war. The child whispered softly, "Will they come back?" His father smiled. "Maybe not soon, but their lesson will stay forever." Somewhere beyond the edge of known space, in the quiet dark between galaxies, a lone human ship drifted. Inside, its AI recorded the final entry for the Terran Accord archives. Mission complete. No casualties. Galactic hierarchy dissolved. The Council restructured under voluntary union. Then the log ended with one final human sentence. "We did not conquer the stars. We enlightened them." The ship turned slowly toward the next horizon, disappearing into the black sea of eternity. And across countless worlds, every being that once laughed at Earth remembered one truth. Humanity did not rise to rule the galaxy. Humanity rose to remind it what freedom means.